Monday night star in the spotlight. Yes, it is Nathan Cleary who joins us live here tonight. Great to have your company at home as well. Nathan, 4 straight premierships, 5 straight grand finals. There's very few boxes you haven't ticked, but I noted post-match in Vegas just how elated you were with the experience of being there. Obviously coming away with the 2 competition points in round 1's huge, but as a whole, fill us in.
Yeah, it was just a mad experience. It felt like a grand final week almost on steroids, like just the way the week went. There was obviously the fan interactions and all that, and I think having the other teams there made it cool as well. Like the English fans were just going crazy, which just added to the whole experience. And then yeah, just to be able to get a win in that stadium and everything going on, yeah, it was special.
Now, they interviewed over in Vegas, and you gave the best answer I've ever been given, to be honest. I asked you about the success and where do you keep finding the motivation. You said it's fun. Now, Brace has mentioned, and that's what we all see. We see the fun, we see the celebrations post-game, interactions with the fans, but can you give us a bit of insight into what don't we see? You know, the repetition, how hard you guys work, how often are you taken to a place where you've really got to find something in the off-season in particular?
Yeah, I will tell you, like, none of this comes if we were just having fun all the time at training. Like, we do work hard, and pre-season's a very tough time of year, but we sort of know how it works. And if you want to get to the top of the mountain, you want to win those premierships, you got to put in the work during the pre-season and continue that throughout the season and keep trying to improve and keep trying to get better. And that's something we really pride ourselves on is, yeah, just seeing each day as a new opportunity to get better. Have
you got a player there? Like I look at someone like Liam Martin, I watch him play. Everything he does is just 100 miles an hour sprints. It reminds me, Luke Lewis, when we won the premiership in 2016, he's kick sprinted every single time. Liam Martin, everything he does is just 100 miles an hour. Does he train like that?
From time to time. This has been his best pre-season by far, I reckon, and it showed in that game. Like, I think he's in for a massive year. I think there's definitely a lot of guys, particularly young guys that come in, they're really impressive with just how hard they train and they're just prepared to get better, and it feels like they're just grateful to be around the group. People like Liam Henry come to mind. He played a lot of games last year, front rower, and he's just 100 miles an hour. Some of their wrestle sessions are just so intense.
I like him. Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's, iron sharpens iron, and you just keep that mentality.
The 4 trophy lifts there from back to back premierships. It is crazy. You did it in pink last year. I want to go back to Vegas. A couple of key things. Smaller pitch over there. Did you have any issues with the dimensions, in particular with kicking?
To be honest, I didn't notice it at all. I remember people talking about it last year. Then you watch the games and it was like, oh, I don't think it affected it. And then we did a little bit of training on the same dimensions as the Vegas field. And yeah, I didn't really feel any different. I think the fact that the ground and the stands are so close to the field, it just you just get your bearings pretty quickly. So to be honest, the goal kicking was nice though. It felt like it was closer the whole time.
Right, okay, that's
yeah, that was the only time I really
That was the advantage there. Now, speaking of the goal kicking, there was one fan in the stands who did their best to distract you when you were going for that one from the sideline here, because you say how close you are. Yoink. What was that?
That was me, by the way.
It was a packet of shapes. I had a look at it straight away. And
never in doubt.
Yeah, I honestly thought, I'm surprised that's never happened before. You played all these away grounds and, people are heckling you, but I've never had anything thrown at me. So I sort of thought about, after I kicked the goal, turn around, trying to find them and be a bit arrogant, but I thought, I'll just run away.
Nailed it, and not surprised by it. The drive for 5 this year in 2025 too. It's got a ring to it. I can already see you lot with your shirts if you're successful in the end with it. That motivation that Gal talks about, the fun. What about the old man? What's Ivan doing to try and liven things up when you're just doing it so regularly?
Yeah, well, it's definitely not something that you get bored with. Like, that's always the end goal, and it's the end goal for every team that starts out. So knowing that everyone starts on 0 points, everyone wants to win the competition. Like, you just have to be better. If you're riding on the success of the previous years, everyone's going to go past you. And I think something we talk about a lot as well. It doesn't really feel like we're chasing a 5th premiership because the team has changed so much. There's so many new guys that come in, and there's guys now that haven't even won one competition. So you want them to share that same success, share those same feelings, create the memories, and yeah, as I said to Gal, it's honestly just fun doing it. So yeah, I don't want to stop anytime soon.
Good. One of the things that doesn't get a lot of commentary or doesn't get a lot of publicity, and I know would be very important to you, but everyone talks about the skills and the fitness and the toughness and everything they do, the mental side of the game. The mental side of the game. How Penrith has become such a composed and professional side under all circumstances, in close finishes, day, night, wet, dry, hot, cold, like everything that's going on there, there seems to be a mental strength there at the moment where you're virtually breaking the will of the opposition. You're virtually just waiting for them to beat themselves and then seizing upon it. How much work goes into the mental side of the game?
Yeah, a lot. I think just about as much as the physical side, to be honest. You know NRL is going to be tough physically, but one thing I learned early on in my career was that I thought it was going to be really tough physically. I thought that was going to be the hardest thing. But then once you get there, it's like, yeah, it's hard, but the mental side of it and getting up each week and the media around it and all that was such a shock to me. And it probably, I'm glad I learned that early in my career. And I think now it's coming into the game a lot more. And it's something that we just teach everyone. And we do it as a team, and it's how you build connectedness as well. But it's also what gives trust in the hardest moments in a game when you're down on the scoreboard or you're not playing your best, just to find that mental strength and trust the person next to you to come over the top. And I think teams do know that we're never going to just roll over and give up. We're just going to keep coming no matter what.
What do you say to young playmakers? I mean, you've been through it. You debuted at a very young age and you've been able to maintain that all this way through. You're now 28 years of age, so you've been through it.
27.
27.
Yeah.
Well, he's a November baby, so he's very late. But the advice to younger playmakers about time and patience in the game, and and concentrating on the longer term rather than the short term results. When did you really feel like the game was yours, like you were actually in control of everything that was going on out there? And when did you really feel like the leader, playmaker, game controller that you are today?
I think it was that 2020 year. So I think I was 22 at the time, maybe, 100 games in. I remember you actually said to me early in my career, it's like you actually become a first grade player when you get to 100 NRL games, and that's when you want to start dominating games. And you want to do it from the start. Like I was a perfectionist. I wanted to be the best, and I wanted to constantly play well. But it's not the case. You got to learn things through experience, and of course, you just got to get those physical reps in time after time after time, and do the extras and work hard. But you also got to understand it's not going to happen overnight. You got to learn these things, and I definitely learn it the hard way sometimes. But I'm so grateful for those moments. I think it's shaped me today.
You see young playmakers emerging in other clubs, and they start to get a bit of a rap. And obviously, you'd watch them just to see what they're like. Yeah. Do you think as though we give up on them too early? The game gives up on them too early, or puts too much pressure on them?
Yeah, absolutely. And we sort of touched on it before about the big contracts for young players, and sometimes it's hard. These kids come in and they're trying to support their family, so they want the big contracts, of course, for the money, but the money will come later down the line if you just apply your trade and learn off older guys and make mistakes, and that's back on the clubs as well. You got to allow these guys to make mistakes. I'm a prime example. It didn't happen overnight for me. I was okay when I was coming in playing first grade, but I was nothing to what I am now. And I do think clubs got to give them time, but it's also then if you give them the big contract, then that comes with expectations. And I am a big believer that all the money and all that stuff will come later down the line if you play well and if you're given the opportunity to have time.